Hello again, everyone. Edwin Learnard back once again. In this YouTube video segment, I'm going to be talking about something might be seen as a little oblique, a little bit different than what you're accustomed to me talking about on my videos. And it's going to be about my biggest fear. And most of you won't care about this, and I respect and understand that, but I'm going to talk about it. Anyway, with my moon in Gemini, whatever comes into my mind essentially comes out of my mouth, and it's no different in this case, I guess. So, that being said, well, my biggest fear, some of you may have already figured that, I'm thinking about this, and dying alone is a very strong fear. Now, many of you see me when I do my videos, it looks like, well, I'm all Mr. Calm, placid, and composed, and this and that, and there's no fear in making the videos. Well, there's not reason to fear that, because when I make the videos, there's no audience when I'm actually producing them. The audience exists after the production of the videos. So for me, sometimes it takes me like 10 takes until I get the video right. So as far as that goes, there's no reason to be apprehensive and fearful, and I encourage anybody out there that wants to do videos to make them. There's nothing to be hesitant or apprehensive about. But back to biggest fear, it's funny in life how time flies when you're having fun, and even when you're not. Well, it's odd. I had a conversation with somebody, and this may have been about 8 years ago, perhaps, and he said to me, well, Eddie, you know that time has a funny way of creeping up on you. And he had said this because at that time I was in a homeless plight or predicament, and I was struggling, and I didn't have an overabundance of funds, so to speak. And he thought that maybe I had more potential to work than I did. I don't agree with that, because as I've stated before to many of you, is that I do have irrevocable damage to my arms, and I do have nerve damage, which prohibits me from working the majority of professions. But what was telling about the statement is that the time has a way of creeping up on you. The statement that itself is true. And people, when you live a certain amount of years, the years go by so quickly after a while. For me, it seemed like when I hit about 35 years old, not only did I understood, I had a very strong conception of what was going on as far as my own timeline and my longevity, and that the fact was I probably had lived close to 50% of my life at that time. And I realized, in the grand scheme of things, there really is not a lot of time left after that. And every year that you live before the one you previously lived is going to go by a little bit faster in your mind, because it's going to represent a small percentage of what you live. Now, let's say that somebody from the age of 5, let's take someone that lives from the age of 5 to 6, okay? That's 1/6 of their life right there. But let's take somebody that from their 23rd birthday to their 24th birthday. Well, that would be 1/24 of the person's life. In that person's mind, it might seem like that time went by perhaps four times faster in that period, because he or she was 4 times as old as the person that hit their 6th birthday. So that is the theory, at least I have, in terms of why time can really fly by, especially after a certain age. And it just seems like it was only yesterday when I was living in my grandmother's basement in Long Island, New York, and I was just remember watching MTV videos, and before reality killed the video star, or so to speak, and the reality TV killed the video star is really what I mean. And it's really funny. And I look at all this time, and I had so many years that said, well, Eddie, don't worry about it. You'll find someone eventually. You'll find that elusive love. You got plenty of time. Well, before all of a sudden I'm 25, then 30, then 35 and 40, and then for now 45, and I'm still pondering this. And do I need to say that I'll eventually find somebody anymore? Now, I understand there can be light at the end of the tunnel, and that it's not good to be overly negative or pessimistic. But being realistic, I have looked at the realistic possibility that that I may die by myself, and I have to just maybe accept certain things. I didn't, for as I've stated in other videos, I didn't capitalize on opportunity that my grandparents presented to me around 25 years ago to help further my education. And because of that, that definitely is factoring in. And now I have the irrevocable damage I told you about to my arms, the nerve damage that's going to prohibit me from doing many things I can't do, things that are too repetitive or strenuous. So that's something to consider. I'm functional. I'm not deformed or anything. I can go shopping and do basic everyday functional things, but other than that, I can't do it. And it's what I encourage to people out there is that if you have an opportunity for love and it's somebody that you feel strongly compatible with, definitely by all means go for it. You might not get another opportunity. I've blown a number of opportunities due to my lack of assertiveness and aggressiveness. Maybe that has something to do with Aries on the cusp of my 12th house in my natal chart. I would say that might figure prominently in that, and that the aggression is very hard for me to express, I believe. Now, and also it leads to my undoing, which is the 12th house. Now, that being said, at the same time in my life, I do try to focus and try to accentuate on some positive elements and attributes of myself. And the reality is that sometimes it's like in life how sometimes you never get a second chance to make a first impression, like when you go to an interview or something. And sometimes that can apply when you have a prospect as far as love in your life and a possibility at finding that right person. And even in high school, I was very timid and shy around women. I didn't really assert myself as much as I should have. I mean, I'm similar now. I'm very introverted personality. I know it's hard to see that because you see me doing videos like every day. But the thing about it is, people, I do live a very introverted life. I can't go many places because I can't operate a motor vehicle, and that's what really prohibits me, inhibits my making progress in that way. I went on a number of dating sites. They don't do any good. They basically they talk about how nice and benevolent these people are in Nashville, Tennessee. The women are, but guess what? I was on Match.com for I believe it's been over, or at least probably I think over 5 years, and there were no results. When you're at a certain income, people, doesn't matter where you live. I don't care about any friendliness and southern hospitality. I could throw that down the toilet because the reality is the end result is exactly the same, whether you're New York, Tennessee, California, or what have you. If you're not making a certain amount of money, it doesn't mean you're definitely not going to have somebody, but it's really going to hamper your chances big time. And don't let anyone tell you otherwise, because that's just the unabashed truth in the matter. So anyway, people, it just the reality is that everybody has their fears, and just because I make videos and stuff, and many of you may know me on the YouTube astrology channel, and attaining certain recognition, notoriety doesn't mean you're going to have a good life. Whatever was attained, it just, I have certain viewership, granted, and I have certain fans, but it hasn't enhanced my life in terms of how I live or in any way, shape, or form. So that's really what I'm saying. As far as monetarily, there's no any difference as far as that goes. If that's what you're wondering. People sometimes have a misconception and equate certain notoriety or recognition to having a great life, and that those things aren't always true. Well, people, that'll conclude this YouTube segment for my biggest fear. And until next time, people, Edwin Learnard saying, stay well.